Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin has big plans to get Virginia back on track, revamping the school system with parents' help and getting the economy rolling again. New York voters have decided to overwhelmingly reject Democrats' election reforms. Former presidential hopeful, Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, praised Glenn Youngkin's win in Virginia, saying that it is a win for all Americans. Parents are pushing back against the progressive agenda in public schools by voting for school board members in greater numbers and running for those same seats. And the American dream is alive and well and living in Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Virginia Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin said he has big plans to transform Virginia's education system. During his campaign, he identified indoctrination in the public school system as Virginia's top problem, promising to end critical race theory in Virginia schools. Parents voiced their concerns at school board meetings, particularly against the education of quasi-Marxist CRT, which riveted national attention. Virginia will embrace parents, not ignore them, and parents will be involved in their schools, Youngkin said. The curriculum will ensure that political rhetoric is taken out of the classroom and focus on how to develop children's ability to think independently rather than tell them what to think. Teachers and school administrators must remain interactive with parents. Youngkin said that he will launch a task force in December and immediately appoint a new Secretary of Education and state school superintendent to really start engaging with parents, grassroots educators, administrators, and students to make it clear that there is an authentic and effective line of communications with parents. He said this election has truly shown that education is not a political issue, but is a fundamental concern for parents. We have brought people from all parties and walks of life together around the desire for children to have a great education. And added that Virginia will also raise the bar for schools to help children reach their fullest potentials. And that's what we all want. We have the largest education budget in the state's history, raise teacher salaries, fund facilities, and reinstate special education programs that were hit hard during the pandemic. So we have a very huge and urgent agenda. We have to get to work immediately. Increase job opportunities, lower taxes, provide great schools and safe communities. These will be the focus of what we need to accomplish, Youngkin said. Former Hawaii Democrat Representative Tulsi Gabbard celebrated Terry McAuliffe's loss, calling the big Republican win in Virginia a victory for all Americans. Gabbard said Wednesday that the election results were a resounding rejection of racial gerrymandering, parental disenfranchisement, and pompous deaf leaders. Gabbard has frequently attacked the Biden administration and members of his party. Last week, she slammed the Biden administration for pursuing a legal appeal in an attempt to overturn a British judge's decision not to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the United States. She said the Biden administration is becoming increasingly authoritarian and is doubling down on our constitutionally protected rights of free speech, freedom of assembly, and other rights as they continue their vindictive crusade against Assange. On the border crisis, Gabbard commented on President Joe Biden, saying, "He's somebody who's been very outspoken as being against autocrats, autocracies, dictators. But what he essentially did was act as a judge, juror, and executioner for the Custom and Border Patrol agents on horseback." She said that if America is no longer a nation of laws, no longer a nation where people are presumed innocent until proven guilty, then we have no democracy. But more and more Americans feel that we are losing our democracy and approaching what is essentially tyranny. She also slammed Hillary Clinton in early September, saying that in America, people like Hillary Clinton and her inner circle of elites, including deep state government and the media, are conspiring to destroy outsiders who they see as a threat to their power. Essentially, what they are doing is establishing a fiefdom that takes those who put the country first, those who are not afraid to challenge the establishment, and those who don't stay in line, and they do everything they can to silence them and discredit them because they pose a threat to their power. In early October, Gabbard also criticized Democratic and Republican leaders over the U.S. military's 20-year war in Afghanistan. She said that even senior leaders in Democratic and Republican administrations have no idea what our real mission was in Afghanistan. The original purpose was to go after al-Qaeda and we defeated it very quickly and effectively. Then our nation's leaders lost sight of the primary mission and instead embarked on a regime change war and got involved in their nation building, which is an important lesson. Even though New York City has voted in Democratic candidate Eric Adams as mayor, deep blue New York State voters this past Tuesday overwhelmingly rejected ballot measures known as Proposition 1, 3, and 4. They address independent redistricting commissions, same-day voter registration, and mail-in ballots. This is yet another example of New York voters' dissatisfaction with the overreach of far-left progressivism, and a warning to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who are pushing similar reform measures in Congress that failed on the first two runs. Now, Proposition 1 would have eliminated the voter-approved Independent Redistricting Commission that was approved 7 years ago. This is a pure and simple power grab by the Democrats. They had been hoping to redraw the districts to change the number of Republican seats in 26 congressional districts from 8 to 3. Democrats currently control the House with a slim majority of 4 seats. New York voters rejected it, apparently wanting an independent commission to draw a bipartisan map. Proposition 3 would have allowed same-day voter registration. New York voters need to register 10 days before an election. This gives administrators time to verify residency, citizenship, and duplication. With same-day voter registration, it may be considered legal for unregistered people to be bused from one place to another to vote. Same-day voter registration removes the importance of residency and brings into question election integrity. New York voters were quite correct in their rejection. Proposition 4 deals with mail-in and absentee ballots. After Democrats successfully used it across the country in 2020, they want to permanently expand this political game changer that has only been used since the pandemic. But the Democrats had no such luck without amending the state constitution. All 3 of these election reform ballot measures come straight from the Democratic Party's wish list and are being trumpeted by progressives. Deep blue New York State voters rejected them overwhelmingly, demonstrating that voters do not accept the overreach of progressives. The backlash against the forced indoctrination of CRT in public school classrooms has become a flashpoint in American politics, and now it is leading to dramatic changes in school boards across the country. A newly formed political action committee known as Project 1776 PAC is dedicated to helping elect conservative, anti-CRT candidates to the nation's public school boards. On Tuesday, they won 3/4 of the 58 races in 7 states. Specifically, all 13 Pennsylvania school board candidates endorsed by the group won their races, along with 11 in Colorado, 9 in Kansas, 4 in New Jersey, 3 in Virginia, and 2 each in Ohio and Minnesota. And they didn't just win in Republican districts. Some candidates also won in deep blue counties, such as Montgomery County in Pennsylvania, Passaic County in New Jersey, and Johnson County in Kansas. These victories are clearly the result of a series of vicious events, such as the memo that led Biden's Justice Department to treat these parents as domestic terrorists because these angry parents gathered at local school boards meetings to protest progressive policies. And the case of the transgender student who raped a female student in the girls' bathroom in Loudoun County. This outrage has now grown into a movement, and it looks like parents across America are taking action to stop the public education system from destroying their children, taking back control of education from the government and giving it to parents. Ryan Gerdusky, founder of the group, said, "My PAC is campaigning on behalf of everyday moms and dads who want to have better access to their children's education." However, this may be the beginning of a larger campaign. The far-left socialist indoctrination CRT campaigns in public schools, the response to the coronavirus pandemic, early sex education, and gender identity in schools have stirred up a huge backlash across America. Project 1776 PAC is not the only group like this. Other groups such as Mothers for Freedom are encouraging parents to educate themselves on these issues and to stand up for parental rights by taking part in voting. The Florida-based organization has 145 chapters in 32 states across the country. What makes this issue so important is that it is a common concern for all people from all walks of life and all parties. All these Project 1776 Political Action Committee victories, along with Glenn Youngkin's victory in Virginia, leave no doubt about the political impact of the culture wars in schools, a trend that Republican candidates will look to capitalize on to gain new majorities. And to end the week, we have the American dream come true for Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears. But before we continue, I want to take a quick second to ask all my friends watching and my live chat family to please take a moment to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, share this video. Also, to support the Eye Opener team, please consider donating to the show or purchasing a mug that matters. You can find the link in the description below, and your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. Salute, my friends. Winsome Sears, a 57-year-old Republican of Jamaican descent who served in the U.S. Marine Corps, defeated Democrat nominee Hala Ayala in the Virginia election to become the state's new lieutenant governor. She is the first black female veteran Republican and naturalized citizen in U.S. history to serve as lieutenant governor representing the state's 90th district. She describes herself as a battle-tested conservative. Her family's experience is the quintessential American dream, you see. Sears recalls that when her father immigrated to America from Jamaica in 1963,
when my father came to this country, August 11th of 1963, he came at the height of the civil rights movement from Jamaica. He came, and I said to him, but it was such a bad time for us. Why did you come? And he said, because America was where the jobs and the opportunities were. And he only came with $1.75. $1.75. Took any job he could find, and he put himself through school and started his American dream. And then, yes, and now he's comfortably retired. And then he came and got me when I was 6 years old. And when I stepped on that Pan Am Boeing 737 and landed at JFK, I landed in a new world.
She said that she still is a Jamaican when she joined the Marine Corps. She remembers wanting to go to college when she already had 3 children under the age of 5. Her husband took a lower paying job to stay home because he already had a degree. And she just put one child on the back of her bike and went to college. No one can say that she didn't know what poverty is, but what you see is the process of making the American dream a reality. Before entering politics, she was the head of a homeless shelter. She also owned an electrical and plumbing repair store in Virginia and previously served as vice president of the Virginia State Board of Education. She served 1 term in the Virginia House of Delegates, and her 2021 campaign marks her return to politics. Her political credentials come from her service to the Commonwealth and the nation, her faith, and her belief in equal opportunity for all Virginians. Having safe neighborhoods, safer communities, and providing children with a good education is what Virginia needs. She explained that this country has made her who she is, has done so much for her, and she would die for this country. She said there are people who want to divide us, and we must not let that happen, because they deliberately attribute a lot of issues to race. They want to continue to divide us. Those politicians are using some of the things that have happened to us as tools to further their evil agenda. If Americans would only stop looking at issues through the lens of race and look at the individual person, the left won't succeed. She said in a speech after her election victory, "We stand here this morning at this defining moment. A defining moment that, yes, started with 2 people on a walk, and a defining moment that is now millions of Virginians walking together sharing dreams and hopes just like the ones that have always been planted on my own heart." And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Now, don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.